When you get a very involved community with tons of hardcore people all in one place, wild things are bound to happen. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 crazy things Battlefield players have done. Number 10, somebody using hacks explained exactly how big of a problem hacks are by buying a month membership to the hack, observing and attempting to catalog exactly what is going on that could identify people as using the hack. Now, the person claims to be a pretty good Battlefield 3 player when not using the hack, so they went in with a pretty decent knowledge of exactly what to expect and found that there are a lot of people hacking. Generally, 1 out of every 30 people playing the game was hacking, at least in this person's opinion. The way this user identified it was by noting that people could have 100% accuracy aimed at another player if they were using the hack, and that was pretty much impossible if they weren't. And given this user's findings were posted about 5 years ago, and we've actually seen some improvement as far as anti-hack stuff, there's a decent chance some of their findings actually had a big impact on developers. So thank you to Reddit user Hacker Trash. Yes, we know it was a throwaway account, but you probably did some good in the world, and not a lot of people can say that. Number 9, a Battlefield fan made a case mod for their PC that is absolutely absurd in every possible way. It's got what you might call last chance switches to turn the thing on and off. Everything is obviously decked out in LEDs and looks very cool, and the most obvious thing that you can see on it is the chain gun, and I'm sure that a lot of people will say that's the most absurd thing, but to me, it seems more obvious that the grand finale of crazy on this one is the fact it has an energy drink sized refrigerator in it. Number 8, somebody made a Battlefield 3 fan film that is absolutely very indicative of the actual Battlefield gameplay experience. It does take some creative liberties in that there is a lot of gameplay experience that couldn't possibly happen in Battlefield, but even the parts that don't mirror the actual gameplay feel very much like a cinematic or similar to the pacing of a Battlefield 3 match. Number 7, we're bending the rules a little bit to include this one because it's more like the Battlefield creators were the fans of something else. But the Battlefield 1 creators cited Dan Carlin's Hardcore History podcast as a really big inspiration for the creation of Battlefield 1. Hardcore History, by the way, is a podcast that has to do with various different points in history, told with very intense, dramatic narration. It's a good podcast, and it doesn't surprise me that that was where they came up with the idea for Battlefield 1. I'm sure Dan Carlin is probably a fan of Battlefield 1, just on the merits that he inspired it, so maybe it was something crazy a Battlefield fan did. Number 6, a Battlefield 1 fan decided he was going to try to play the game entirely with voice commands, and for the most part, he was really just annihilated by people who are not using voice commands. But that doesn't mean he was able to do nothing. He drove an armored vehicle for a while, and even mounted a gun turret. Considering to everybody else who's playing, not realizing that it's a voice command player, looking more like just an easy kill that has no idea what they're doing in the game, that's actually pretty good. I don't think I would try this at all. It sounds like a bad idea, but it is a good video. Number 5, a player made a big drawing of a penis in the game, using a large number of AT mines, which was set off by a C4 explosion, which the creator, Ali Gill, noted that couldn't have happened with a C4 explosion because there would be no chain reaction. There isn't a lot you could say about this. The instant you see it, you go, oh, yes, of course. But it's still funny that somebody did it. And a nice tip of the hat to Ali Gill for being the person who made this possible. Number 4, we talked about a cheater who exposed exactly how cheating works. Now let's talk about a Battlefield player who detailed why. For a long time, a Battlefield player by the name of John B32XQ, which is a very catchy name as you know, was a legitimate player for a long time, but he began paying for a cheating service as a way to let off some steam. He was paying for a very high-powered cheating platform, which allowed him to just kill everybody in the match instantly if he really wanted to, and he did it because at his job, he was often stressed out by people who were jerks. So, what we have here is what we like to call a cycle. People are jerks to him, so he's a jerk to other people. I don't really think that makes it justified, but coming out and making a big deal about it is kinda weird, to say the very least. I mean, this was a number of years ago, so it's not like peak cheating service hate or anything, but I have to imagine it contributed to people hating it a lot more. Number 3, a gadget show developed a simulator so that they could play Battlefield on an omnidirectional treadmill with a large 360-degree projection that was tracking the gun that they were holding, so that in a lot of ways it worked like VR without the need for a headset, and obviously not quite as good, but with the added sensation of movement. Speaking of added sensation, they also had automatic paintball guns set up to shoot the player when they got injured in the game. It genuinely freaked out the host of the show as they did it, because obviously it hurts to get hit with a paintball. Not as much as a real bullet, of course, but when that is something you're actually thinking about, am I going to get hurt, the game becomes a little bit different. It's actually pretty crazy when you think about it, because I haven't seen anything like this since. And when VR headsets progress to these types of theaters, where the walking and the direction and all of the body movement is tracked, it's easy to see when VR could actually be the most engaging, and it will likely look something like this. Number 2, as the Battlefield 3 beta happened, there were a number of glitches, and a number of people made fun of these glitches in a manner that is worthwhile to look at, but the funniest ones involve characters with very long necks glitching around on the ground, except they're actually real people doing it with a computer effect on them. It's pretty funny, I like them. And finally, number 1, a user by the name of Floppy Ragdoll went from being a fan to a creator who made lots of videos of very intense gameplay footage that was often featured on the R Battlefield subreddit, who was in charge of making one of the best of the Battlefield 1 trailers. They weren't the only one who worked on it, there was other people, but that trailer, it is very good. And finally, a quick bonus for you, a fake Easter egg found by somebody making fun of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, because as you know, Battlefield players and Call of Duty players are constantly at each other's throats. Why not? If you've ever seen anything crazy in a Battlefield match, any of the games, leave us a comment, let us know. And if you like this video, click the like button. If you're not subscribed now, it'd be a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I am Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.